Hey guys, Wrestling Throwdown here. I'm Haley and this is Joe, and we are going to talk about Raw last night. Me and Joe were just talking about this a few minutes ago, and we did definitely think that Raw was an improvement. We've talked about how Raw has not been the best, and it's actually been very good. It was actually pretty good last night. Of course, there's still not everything was great. I mean, about 45 minutes kind of near the end, like 45 minutes near the end, like around 10-ish, it was kind of boring, and I was just kind of like, uh. But other than that, it was good. It was actually very good. Dean and Seth actually saved the show again, like usual. But, yeah, I enjoyed it. Joe, your thoughts?
Overall, like I said, it was a vast improvement. I saw a lot of responses online where people were burying this episode of Raw, and I think people are absolutely full of crap if they think this Raw was not an improvement over the past 6 weeks. Granted, there were some holes, and I would agree that the first 90 minutes were really awesome, and after that 9:30-10 mark, it did kind of go down a little bit. I thought the main event was decent, though, so overall, I didn't have too many complaints about it, and I preferred watching Monday Night Raw over watching Tom Brady and the Patriots get their ass whooped last night. So that was my watching preference.
Definitely. Alrighty, so let's see, what started off? Okay, so Triple H and Stephanie start off. And they're in Chicago, and I posted this in the group yesterday, that they were in Chicago, and Chicago's one of their best crowds. I mean, the crowd's always full of energy, they cheer whoever they want. And I had a feeling they were going to get some CM Punk chants, obviously. And it was really funny because when they came out and they started chanting CM Punk, usually they ignore it. And usually they'll just keep talking, like most of them do, when there's CM Punk chants, like AJ still ignores it and stuff like that. Sometimes she'll smile and everything, but other than that, most of them just ignore it and they go on. Stephanie actually replied to the chants, and she didn't technically say like the name or anything like that, but she goes, "I don't know why you guys want to cheer for quitters," and she just goes into this whole thing about how he quit and that leftists just pretty much tucked his tail between his legs and just walked home. Yeah, exactly. And he didn't want to stand up, and he didn't want to like fight like a man, and he just kind of like left. And that's pretty much what she said. And I just started laughing. I'm just like, I can't believe she's actually replying to this, because they never have replied to them. And
the only other time we acknowledged it was when Paul Heyman cut that promo the first time they were back in Chicago after Punk left.
Yeah. And she talks about then she goes into talking about people who steal, and then she gets into Dean Ambrose. And if you guys did not watch SmackDown, Dean Ambrose stole the briefcase, which was hilarious. And he was carrying it around. There was pictures all online. He was actually carrying it around in airports and stuff like that. It was actually his. It was pretty funny. And she pretty much said, no one's going to disrespect the business. This is uncalled for, and Dean Ambrose needs to return the briefcase, blah, blah, blah. Pretty much same old, same old. And Paul Heyman comes out. And Joe, this is what Joe has been waiting for. Mm-hmm. Paul actually responded to Seth, curb stomping Brock Lesnar and trying to cash in on him. He pretty much said, your boy, what's going on? Is there a problem with me? Is there a problem with Brock, And then Seth comes out and says, no one told me to do this. This was all on me. And he apologizes to Paul, and he says, I thought you, of all people would understand, because you're an opportunist like me. And I seen an opportunity, and I went for it. And he pretty much apologizes and says, I didn't mean any harm. And, I apologize to Brock Lesnar and everything like that, and I hope you accept my apology. And Paul Heyman, he gives like that, and he goes, I'll admit what you did was very brave, but if it ever happens again, you're going to have to deal with, Brock Lesnar. And he tries to get out of the ring, and Triple H gets in his face and says, we think he's going to do something. And he just goes, it was nice talking to you. It was a good conversation, Paul. And Paul Heyman just runs out of the ring. He's scared to death. He just wants to get out of there, and he just runs out. It was hilarious. And Seth pretty much says, he thanks, Triple H for sticking up for him and, trying to get the briefcase back. And then he calls out Dean Ambrose. And he tells Dean Ambrose to give him back the briefcase. And Dean goes, oh, well, come and get it if you want it so bad. And so when they're coming to get it, obviously John Cena's music pops out. And John Cena attacks Seth. And then they go up the rampage, and then they leave. And that's pretty much that. Same old, same old. It's actually, I did hear rumors on my website, rumors going around on Cage Seats, that it's going to be earlier in the show. It's going to be John Cena versus Dean Ambrose, and the winner is going to get Seth later on in the night. That is what they are going with right now.
For Hell in a Cell?
Yeah, which is fine with me.
Better than a triple threat, which I think would have been the original logic here if you're not counting Brock. Yeah, I think your original prognostication of Brock not being part of this pay-per-view was clearly accurate because, besides Paul's little promo, there's no build or any mention of Brock being involved in Hell in a Cell 4 weeks away. So, yeah, I think that could be very logical. And, hey, if Ambrose could get a clean victory over Cena to give him the opportunity to face Rollins, maybe in a Hell in a Cell match, I think that's the match we all want to see is Dean versus Seth in a Hell in a Cell. And the matches that they've had in matches that are designed to not be good matches, like the lumberjack match and TLCs and all this stuff. So clearly that match will be a big match. I think a match of the year candidate if they were to do that. And honestly, I think Seth and Cena they have the potential to work good together as well, but that's not the main event that I want to see.
Yeah, personally. Exactly. Dean is going to get in there some way or another, whether it's a DQ, something is because someone's going to distract either John Cena or something. Something's going to happen where Dean Ambrose is going to get, obviously, that match. But I did think it was interesting when I read that. Yeah, it was interesting. Do you have any thoughts about the whole segment that went down with Paul Heyman or anything?
Yeah, I was going to mention Paul. I was very happy that Paul came out and finally articulated some stuff that I was looking at and analyzing, like, hey, you're the beast, you're the animal Brock Lesnar, you're going to let Seth Rollins, no disrespect to Seth Rollins, but if you're Brock Lesnar, it's Brock Lesnar's world and everybody else is getting ready to be conquered, and you're going to get this up-and-comer Mr. Money in the Bank try to catch in on you. I mean, if I were Brock, I would come out and destroy everybody. People are saying, oh, Randy Orton needs to turn babyface to face Brock. That's going to be a matchup. Honestly, I was watching a video on Aaron Riff's channel on the No DQ&A videos, and he surprisingly didn't even mention anything about the Paul promo. And I was very kind of taken aback by that because I thought that was a very pivotal, subtle, yet pivotal piece of that first segment. And I think Brock Lesnar, if he's not going to be booked at Hell in a Cell, I think he's at least going to be there to cause some hell. I really don't envision a scenario where he's not even present at the pay-per-view. At least my...
Yeah, I actually think that might be the whole John Cena thing. I think he might actually come and attack John Cena and stuff, and that's obviously going to lead up for those two at TLC for their rematch.
It's a shame. I would have rather seen Brock and Cena in a Hell in a Cell match than a TLC match. That sounds ugly.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it seems like Dean and Seth are going to be the best bet for the Hell in a Cell match.
They definitely have the best storyline. There's no doubt about that. And they've been having the best matches over the past since the summer. So that to me needs to be where they book it.
Yeah. Alrighty, backstage segment. Seth is just, upset and saying that he wants his briefcase back, and Stephanie says, that's just what Dean wants. You're not going anywhere. You're staying here. And she tells Joey Mercury and Jamie Noble to get the briefcase back. I love these two. I love how they're actually finally showing them on TV a lot now. Have you noticed that? Like, they're just, finally showing them a lot now. And you would see them randomly, 1 or 2 weeks where they were breaking up someone, like the CM Punk and The Rock, obviously. You've seen them that one random time, but you've never really, they've just been really, with the authority these past few weeks, and I just love it. But Triple H pretty much says, I don't care what you do to Dean Ambrose, just get it back in the briefcase in one piece. And then they ask him if they can have his sledgehammers, and he goes, no. And he tells him to just, he obviously gets upset about that, and he tells him to leave and everything.
The game at that part. I forgot about that part. Wow, that's funny.
Yeah.
The balls of the cruiserweight, I tell you.
It's pretty funny. Just a little thing. And that was pretty much that.
I've been enjoying Joey Mercury and Jamie Noble's work. They are coming off as like the new Patterson and Briscoe, in a way. Finley was part of that little segment. I didn't see him last night, but he had been been kind of part of that little trio. I wonder if they're gonna just focus more on Joey and Jamie Noble, because they can really play that stooge role where I don't really see Finley being like fitting into that stooge role. He's too tough of an individual.
Yeah, I like the whole, Joey Mercury and Jamie Noble. And it's funny, too, Joey Mercury is actually really close with Dean Ambrose, Seth, and Roman in real life, too. I think that's pretty funny. But, yeah, that's pretty much that. It was, they have some more backstage segments throughout the night, but we'll talk more about that later. Next, this was a really good match, actually. The triple threat match, I was kind of like, when I seen it again, I'm just like, seriously, are we seriously defending the title? I mean, it was good that we defended it, don't get me wrong, like, I was happy that they're finally defending it, but it's just like, oh, is this just like, I don't know, like, I said this on, my, I guess you can say like a rant video when I put NXT and TNA together and I didn't talk about everything. I pretty much said that Dolph Ziggler has been getting kind of like these cheap victories. Like he's just kind of like people are holding onto the ropes when he's winning, and like he's grabbing the tights and stuff like that. And it's almost like making him look heel almost. And someone actually said this on YouTube, and they said that they can see Cesaro turning face and Dolph turning heel. And I'm just like, I would actually really like that. I don't know if it's going to happen for sure, but I would really like that because obviously Dolph still won, but he didn't win. He didn't really win clean. I mean, he won cleanly, but he didn't win with his move. I mean, Cesaro did the uppercut to Miz, and then obviously Dolph Ziggler super kicked Cesaro and then covered Miz. So obviously Cesaro and Dolph are not over. It looks like Miz and Dolph are going to be done for a little bit. It looks like they're going to focus more on Cesaro and Dolph, which is great too. I think they can have a really great match, really great feud. So let's see what they can do with this. I mean, Cesaro, maybe like the fans are going to start feeling bad for Cesaro because the fans, a lot of people I know like Cesaro. And maybe they're going to start feeling bad and having some sympathy for him and, like, cheer for him and then maybe boo Dolph Ziggler, especially if Dolph Ziggler keeps getting these unfair victories that he really shouldn't be getting. I mean, I love Dolph Ziggler, don't get me wrong, but how they're booking him winning these matches, he's just looking kind of, like, cheap. I don't know.
It seems like they're really weak on the heel side at the moment. Like, they don't really have a lot of, like, when you look at the predominant faces and heels, like you got Dean, you got Cena, Daniel Bryan and Roman are on the shelf, but they're obviously top baby faces when they come back. So Ziggler. So you kind of have a lot of guys in the baby face. You have Rusev, Brock Lesnar is even kind of undefined at this point. You don't really have a lot of strong heels. I mean, the Authority, people are talking about Orton may turn face and all this stuff. Seth's doing a good job, I feel like, being kind of the captain of the Authority at this point. But really, they seem to have a shortage of heels. They got Miz, so maybe Ziggler could help that. And Cesaro, I just feel like they dropped the ball with Cesaro by not turning him face after WrestleMania, and I hope it's not too little too late as far as Cesaro goes. I mean, he still has a huge fan following. Everybody who's been following him since he's come from Ring of Honor and former U.S. champ, has really tried to climb the ladder, and all the workers seem to put him over. I listen to Jericho's podcast all the time, and Jericho talks about he's one of the guys he always requests to work with, besides, like, Ziggler and, like, Wyatt and guys like that. So, I mean, he's got the respect of the boys, he's got the respect of the fans. He hasn't really worked babyface in a while. In fact, I thought he was finally doing a pretty good job as a heel in the Sheamus feud. Like, just on his own, getting heat on his own, too. Like, not needing that Paul Heyman or Zeb Coulter as his heater. So, him turning face, I could see it, although I feel like the fans are really into Ziggler at the moment, despite his booking prowess. You know, he worked hard to get recognized again and get back in the IC title picture, so I'm not sure how it's going to work out. I think if they would have done this 6 months ago, it would have worked out better with Ziggler as a heel turn, because he was still fighting. He would have had a reason to turn heel at that point. And then, like Cesaro, it would have been the natural babyface turn after WrestleMania. So, hopefully it's a little too late. Hopefully.
Yeah, it seems though like they really have not. We thought they maybe gave up on Cesaro, but it seems like they're actually putting him back in the picture. Like they're not, having him lose, and they're still having him in the title picture. So it seems like they might be having some hope for him and having him bring him up a little bit. So that's what I like, and that's what I've been happy seeing him, even if it is just, a mid-card belt. I mean, obviously, the main event picture is kind of filled up right now with Roman, and then when Daniel Bryan comes back and everything like that. So that's pretty filled up right now. But definitely, even if he has, just a mid-card belt, this could be very good potential for him.
And again, former U.S. champ, never won the Intercontinental title. I think the Intercontinental title would be a big boost for Cesaro. I think it would fit him well. So I could definitely envision him winning the title, and whether he ends up being a babyface and Zig ends up turning heel, I guess we're going to have to tune in and see how they book it. But certainly, you're very accurate, and I hadn't even read into it that much, but you're very accurate in your assessment in that Ziggler has had a lot of cheap victories as of late.
Yeah. Okay, another backstage thing. Joey Mercury and JB Noble, they're just pretty much asking around about Dean Ambrose. I want to say one thing, because we actually seen Big E Langston, and I know he was on SmackDown, and I didn't really mention him. Where has he been? Where has Big E actually been? Like, are they just using him for comedy gimmick now, or what? Like, it's just... I mean, I know they said that they might still bring back that whole, trio with him, Xavier Woods, and Kofi Kingston, but it's just like, other than that, he hasn't had any matches. I don't even think he actually has been on Main Event. I think 2 weeks ago, him and Seth had a match on Main Event. But other than that, he has not been on Raw. He really hasn't been on SmackDown. Like, I don't even know. Like, what are they doing with him? And, I like Big E. I actually, when I first seen him, he was one of the bigger guys that I liked that actually could do quite a bit of stuff in the ring. Most big guys, they're just pretty much powerhouses. But Big E, it seems like he's got a little bit of everything going for him, and that's why I like Big E. He's different from your normal big average person, and that's what I like Big E. I know he's not probably the best talker in the world. I mean, he's not like bad on any terms. But I do prefer him as a heel, and that's why I really wanted that trio to happen. But it seems like when they turned him face with that whole CM Punk and Paul Heyman thing, just for the CM Punk and Paul Heyman thing, it just seems like they haven't really been doing anything with him. It's just like his career has been so much better. I mean, yeah, he had the Intercontinental ones, but that wasn't even, he wasn't even really defending it.
Time ago. I know it was right around WrestleMania time, and he had a decent run with it, but it seems like it was such a long time ago that Big E had the IC title, and it's been such a fall from grace, jobbing out to Rusev. And the one thing I noticed, they all had matching ring gear on SmackDown when they were all in the Battle Royal together, Xavier Woods included. So that was a good sign, I guess. I worry that they could be building them almost as the new 3MB, and not necessarily as this, uprising, kind of angry, we've been stuck in the mid-card, we're pissed kind of faction. I worry that may be more the build, and that, they haven't featured actually on the JBL and Cole show, all three of them. I've been watching that on YouTube lately, and Ziggler and Ryder have actually taken over hosting that show, so that's pretty cool too. But, yeah, it's been pretty good as of late. But, yeah, overall, who knows what's going to happen with the Nation of Jobber Nation, as some have dubbed it. And I really hope for something out of it, not only for Big E Langston, as you mentioned, but for Kofi Kingston, and quite frankly for Xavier Woods, who is really too small for WWE standards to make a big impact without a cruiserweight division. But he is a good talker, so he really could be a good talker for that, that trio. Unfortunately, how long has it been since we first saw them cut that promo? 2 months now, 2.5 months. and now, like,
I
no
think it's been
momentum.
longer than that. I actually think it's been like close to 5 months, to tell you the truth. I'm dead serious. I think it's been that long. I'm gonna look it up because I feel like it's been like forever.
It's definitely been a long time. So, you know, people were saying, oh, they're just holding them off TV, they're retooling them, they want them to be good. Who knows if the writing or whoever is in charge of this little experiment even has the foresight to kind of see where they can be. Because right now
Yeah,
they're
I don't
very...
know. Maybe just thinking of something to do. Maybe they're waiting for an opportunity to open up. Maybe they're trying to think of feuds with them. I don't know.
Maybe the Wyatt? I don't know.
Yeah, it's interesting though. I do like it though. Speaking of the Wyatts,
There.
Bray Wyatt promo last night. And I also looked this up too on my website. This popped up. So, as you kind of seen, Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper were pretty much the main two people of this promo, like usual. And people are saying that they're like kind of leaving Eric Rowan out in the cold. Like they're gonna, like that promo they did last night was almost kind of like trying to show that Eric Rowan's gonna like leave the Wyatts. I mean, I guess it could happen, but I didn't really see it like that in the promo.
I didn't either.
It's kind of interesting though, because my brother was just like, they keep looking at that tree. What's up with the whole tree and everything like that? They're saying they're looking for something. Something is broken or something. Isn't that what they said? Something's broken, something like that. They're pretty much looking for a problem to fix. And so this is why I mean, he didn't show up last night. This was pretty much the only thing they did last night with them. But it shows that WWE has not given up hope on him, and that they want the fans to know they are thinking of him, but they're trying to figure out who he's supposed to be with next. They're probably thinking, creatives probably trying to like brainstorm right now what they're going to do with him next. And so they're like, well, you know what, let's hurry up and just have Bray Wyatt do a promo and show the fans that obviously he's still okay, and we're thinking about him and everything like that, and it's not over for him. He's still going to be there. So that's how I thought it was positive. It was definitely positive that I seen him. Yes, he didn't show up, and I know a lot of people are upset about that. Just like, oh, just a promo and he didn't show up. But it's just like he can only do random matches for so long. They gotta have him have a feud, and maybe that's why they're taking a bit of time. Maybe they're trying to think of something really good this time to make him move up a little bit. Maybe they're thinking of, and I've heard rumors that maybe he might feud with Sting, but I don't think that's going to be his next feud. I think maybe down the line he could feud with Sting, definitely. But that would be awesome, actually, to tell you the truth. I would really enjoy that.
I don't think we're going to see Sting until 2015. Yeah. I did hear about the tweet where Bray Wyatt tweeted about something about a scorpion. And when you think about logical matchups for Sting in WrestleMania, Bray Wyatt is very intriguing. They're both very dark, ominous, mysterious kind of characters. When you look at the Crow Sting character and you look at Bray Wyatt, and it could be very interesting. And obviously Undertaker seems like a long shot at this point. I really don't want to see a Sting versus John Cena matchup. For some reason, that just doesn't really seem appetizing to me. I wouldn't mind Sting and Triple H, considering they're both from the Attitude Era, from the 90s, and you'd have one of the top heels and baby faces from the 90s matching up. I'd be okay with that. But when in terms of intrigue, I think Bray Wyatt and Sting would be very intriguing. And when you look at a WrestleMania resume that Bray Wyatt's building, his first ever WrestleMania match against John Cena, his second one possibly against the Icon Sting, not too shabby. So yeah, I don't think they're going to leave Bray Wyatt in the cold. Triple H believes in this guy. And as far as the promos go, I don't think they're trying to exclude Eric Rowan. I just think Luke Harper's work has been more stellar than Eric Rowan's. So at this point, they're trying to showcase it that Luke Harper is more an equal to Bray Wyatt, and maybe in time he could be the guy to turn on the group and do his own thing. I've compared him a lot to Bruiser Brody. I think he could be a very good singles, and quite frankly, I think the tag team of him and Eric Rowan have kind of run their course, considering they had their title shots, they lost, and now the tag team, they're not even in the tag team really circle or picture at this point. So at this point, it freshens things up. I would like to see some character development with Luke Harper. I think he's got all the potential in the world. I mean, me and you even talked about it. You know, Eric Rowan's kind of...
He is a very good talker. He definitely is.
He fits the Wyatt so much as Bray Wyatt, but they're different characters, and like, you know, you can make the argument as much as Bray Wyatt is that charismatic leader, Luke Harper is more even unique in his presentation. So I think the sky's the limit for Luke Harper. I know Jericho spoke on working Luke Harper on his recent one, I think on a house show. Also, fun fact, I don't know if you know this, here's my Joey Dice fact of the day. Did you know that Chris Jericho was originally supposed to work Seth Rollins at Night of Champions, but it got changed to Randy Orton?
Yes, I did. My website actually did say something about that. Yep.
Jericho spoke about it candidly on his podcast. I heard a little bit of it last week. It was quite interesting. But overall, I like it. Anybody who's complaining, like, here's what I'm talking about, like with the internet, just some fans just can't seem happy. The last 5 out of 6 Raws were absolutely deplorable. I'm in agreement. Absolutely in agreement. It was getting to the point where I was just going to, like, catch the highlights of Raw and, like, you know, read the internet sheets and not even make a emphasis to watch Raw. It was getting that bad. However, I really feel like this week did help turn a lot of things around. Nothing was perfect. And look, would you rather see the Wyatts work the Matadors on SmackDown with no rhyme or reason whatsoever, or work Big Show with no rhyme or reason whatsoever? No. Let's build these guys up. Jericho's gone. That storyline's over. The Cena thing's come and gone. So they need a fresh story, and they're too good not to just be put out there. They need stories. They're too captivating of a character, especially Luke and Bray. So it's going to be interesting. You know, is Luke and Bray going to be seen more as equals? Are they going to end up feuding maybe if Luke gets too big for his britches? I think this gives rise to a lot of possibilities. And like we said, as far as Sting and Wyatt, I think it's more probable than you might realize, but I agree. It's not going to happen in the calendar year because we're not about it.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the thing, too. The whole Sting thing and Bray, I definitely agree. I think it could definitely happen, but not this year, next year, you know. Obviously, when Bray Wyatt, you know, comes up. The thing is also, too, why I think they're waiting is maybe he's going to feud with Roman.
That would be interesting.
Yeah, and maybe that's what they're waiting for, you know, because Roman obviously is not going to have anything to do until Royal Rumble anyways. So, you know, they might as well have a little bit of a feud before he gets ready for Brock Lesnar, you know.
I also rule out Daniel Bryan. There's unfinished business there.
Yeah. But the only bad thing is he's not going to be back in time for Hell in a Cell probably. And he's not going in. There might be I think he'll be back by TLC, but it's just like, what are they going to have, a 1-month feud? Because obviously, unless Roman has another match with him at Royal Rumble and then he goes in the Royal Rumble, they could do that too, I guess. Because obviously, people have had more than one. Obviously, have had a match and then went to the Royal Rumble anyways. So that is a possibility. They could work for 2 months and then obviously.
Royal Rumble is usually the one event of the year you expect mostly double bookings, with the exception of the heavyweight championship matches. You know, and even one year, I think Randy worked the championship match and lost to Miz, and then wormed his way in the Rumble. Anything can happen.
Yep, definitely. Alrighty, another backstage segment with Joey Mercury and Jamie Noble. Okay, they said they can't find Dean Ambrose. And so Stephanie pretty much says, you find him or you're fired. And then Damien Sandow and Miz come storming in. And Damien Sandow is actually talking for Miz, obviously, because he's his stunt double. So Damien Mizdow, I forgot to say. I guess I should call him Mizdow now. And
Maker with that European uppercut, so he needed to talk beat that segment.
And pretty much he says, like, this is an outrage and everything like this, and we deserve, you know, I deserve another, you know, one-on-one contender match. And Triple H just starts laughing. He goes, "You two are just so entertaining." He's just like, I need something to laugh at and enjoy myself. And he pretty much says that Damian Sandow is going to face Sheamus in the middle, near the end of the show. And then he said to Miz, if he ever talks like that to him again, he's going to be in the unemployment line, which is funny too because Miz wasn't even talking. But I guess obviously technically because it was coming out of Miz's brain / head, whatever. I guess he was obviously still saying it was towards the Miz, but I just thought that was funny because Damian was obviously the one talking for Miz, but he didn't get mad at Damian. He got mad at Miz. It was just funny.
Yeah, Triple H played that role. I thought Triple H had a really good night. I thought the Authority as a whole had a really good, entertaining night for their role they played. Going back to the first segment for a second, I actually was in favor of their little jabs towards the CM Punk issue, and I'm going to say this one more time, and hopefully not say it again for a long time. CM Punk chose to walk away from the WWE. CM Punk is hurting his own legacy right now by trying to sue the WWE while his wife's still employed there. He is hurting the WWE fans by possibly the WWE delaying the release of the highly anticipated WWE 2K15 game. And quite frankly, I've heard the Cena versus Punk feature in that game would have been one of the best features. So he's robbing the fans of that as well. As far as I'm concerned, I don't know if you mentioned it or if it was the Aaron Riff show that I was watching earlier. They were talking about is Punk happy when the CM Punk chants happen? Quite frankly, I don't think Punk gives a shit. Do you think Punk gives a shit about the fans? I mean, this is coming, and I want people to understand. This is coming from a guy who has idolized CM Punk. Like, from the second he debuted in ECW, I didn't watch one of his Ring of Honor stuff. That's kind of when I discovered him when he debuted in ECW. But I went back and, when he cut the pipe bomb promo and everything else, CM Punk has been an inspiration, literally, in my life to speak up for myself and to, to fight for what I believe in. Like, I am not bullshitting. That is not a work. But I'm telling you right now, the way he has conducted himself is like a fucking asshole. And I actually thought the Chicago crowd did a good job of not really taking over the show with the CM Punk chants. And you know what? Good for Stephanie. I forgot to mention this when you said this, but I wanted to mention it now. Good for Stephanie for that quitter line, because as much as y'all may hate to admit it, she's right. She's absolutely right. Why are you cheering for a quitter? And another thing is, I was reading on NoDQ.com that the WWE has very bad sentiment towards one Colt Cabana, who, of course, is CM Punk's best friend and notable indie guy. And you saw the Colt Cabana like fat head early on in the show. And I wonder if that got confiscated, because I did not see that in the last hour of the show, the CM Punk fat. I mean, the Colt Cabana fat.
It's funny. They've actually been getting really strict with the signs now. Like, even like the $9.99 signs, they're actually like confiscating them if they think that they're like, I don't know, sarcastic kind of and stuff like that, and obviously rude. They're confiscating them, and it's just so funny. And it's funny because I pretty much, I said what I thought about the whole thing, on that whole post, that paragraph thing with the picture, and I pretty much said that I know he's an asshole, and he's my top 3 favorite wrestlers of all time, with Shawn Michaels being first, Edge being second, and then him being third.
And by the way, Shawn Michaels, another fucking asshole. Just wanted to say that.
And maybe I just like assholes. Okay. Anyways, but I told Ben that even though he's an asshole and everything, you can't say that he's not talented. Ben actually didn't think he was talented. I was actually kind of surprised about that. But everyone's allowed to have their opinion. But and that's the thing too. It's just like he quit, he's gone. I've gotten over it. Yes, I like him and everything like that. But obviously, I've moved on, and I feel like I do have a thing for assholes though, because Shawn Michaels, CM Punk, and then Seth, he had a little asshole backstage thing too. I think I do. I think I just like assholes. But anyways.
we made some psychological observations on our host here live on Wrestling Throwdown. Wrestling Throwdown is turning into Dr. Phil Throwdown right in front of our very eyes. Unbelievable. Hey, it is what it is. I mean, if you listen to some shoot videos from Gregory Helms specifically and others, you'll hear some very interesting stuff on Shawn Michaels. I'm not trying to take away from the man or the family man or the wrestler or superstar or Hall of Famer or showstopper that he is, because he's all of those and then some. But he is also.
He's cocky. Actually, I feel like there's a good list of wrestlers who are very cocky, so, you know.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, I mean, you got to be. Here's the secret. You got to be in this business, because that's part of what, you know what I mean, makes that presentation and swagger, for lack of a better term, to you know, have these over-the-top personas. Going all the way back to Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, Ultimate Warrior, you know, superstar Billy Graham, whatever.
Definitely. Alrighty. This is kind of just a pointless match, but I do think it's kind of funny that they're just doing the whole Total Divas thing. Layla versus Rosa Mendez, and Tyson Kidd is actually at ringside. He has not been in any of Natalya's matches, and they just out of nowhere, since they're finally showing like the heat on Total Divas between those two, they're finally actually having him at ringside during her, and it wasn't even her match, I mean, obviously, but she's like, obviously, she's been with Rosa Mendez, obviously, for the past, like, month or two, so obviously, you know, but I do think it's kind of funny that they're just, like, tying this whole thing into Total Divas, where they're, like, you know, having this whole big argument, and they're having marriage problems and all that stuff. And, you know, he's on his phone, he's listening to music and stuff like that, and he's just, like, not even paying attention and stuff. And Natalya's obviously upset, and she thinks he doesn't love her and stuff like that. And it's just so stupid, because obviously we know this is not true, and it's ridiculous. Like, Total Divas, it was so good the first season, and it's just gotten to I mean, I feel like a 5-year-old can tell when this stuff is not real. That's how bad it is. And anyways, Layla wins. And did anybody notice this? Maybe she's been playing it for the past few weeks, but you know how when she had the Lay Cool music after Michelle McCool left, but then she changed it when she became Divas title to some pop kind of theme, and then she changed it back to the Lay Cool thing. And they played it last night, and I just thought that was funny because, you know, I know you mentioned it, like they're the new Summer Rae and Layla, you know, are the new, you know, Lay Cool kind of thing now, because they're both, I mean, Summer Rae is a blondie just like Michelle McCool, and I just think that's funny because, I mean, what if they actually do something with, like, Michelle McCool coming back? I highly doubt she is going to come back because she's a mom now, but I just think that's kind of funny that they're kind of like almost like showing them out to be, I mean, like, I don't know, it's just weird. I mean, did you notice that? Obviously, I hope I'm not the only one that noticed that.
Oh, well, I'm sorry, I was listening to my headphones.
Are you serious, Joe?
No, I was making fun of things. Look, here's the situation. What was your question again? I actually did space on your question. But I was.
Okay. No, I pretty much said, like, did you notice that they've kind of been, like, playing the Lay Cool music and stuff like that after, even though Layla changed her music, like, a year ago to some pop thing, and then now she changed it back to the Lay Cool music.
Not only that, but they've made Summer Rae and Layla were kind of a facey thing, feuding with Fandango. Now Fandango is nowhere to be heard from.
Oh, yeah, don't remind me. Don't remind me. Oh, that's horrible. It seems
back to the heel side, and maybe they feel like the Lay Cool music fits that better. Yeah, for me. You know. So, as far as Michelle McCool coming back, highly unlikely. She seems like she's focused on the next chapter of her life, being a mom and being a wife to Undertaker, and I'm actually subscribed to her YouTube account, and if you go to her YouTube account, she has some interesting videos on all the divas she worked with, from Trish to Karma to anyone in between, and they're actually quite interesting. But I recommend them. If anybody's a Michelle McCool fan, I recommend checking that out on her YouTube page. But yeah, I highly doubt that she'll be coming back, and I actually think, like, she's like the forgotten diva of the 2000 eras. Because I think when the Divas division was very low, Michelle McCool really carried it. And I think she belongs in the Hall of Fame at some point. I really do. Maybe not in the next few years. I'd put in people like Victoria and others who came before her first, maybe even Jacqueline. But I do think she belongs in the Hall of Fame at one point, along, obviously, with her husband, obviously.
Yeah, definitely.
As I was pantomiming the Tyson Kidd thing, this whole match itself was just stupid and ridiculous. I thought this was the worst of the three female matches which were featured on Raw, which obviously, like you said, are correlating with Total Divas. I actually haven't found Total Divas to be that bad in Season 3. I thought Rosa comes off as sympathetic on the show. It's just too bad her wrestling is dog shit terrible. I mean, she's been with the company for 10 years, and I feel like I could work circles around her. She's just so, like, why is she so awkward? Like, her selling, everything just seems like it's one step behind the rest of the divas in the division. And whether she's tagging up with Natty, or, you know, who obviously is a fantastic worker, or in there with Summer Rae or some of these other girls that could go, it just seems like she's a step, 2 steps, 3 steps behind. And I even see Eva Marie making more strides than her, and we know how green she's been. So, I don't know.
And I already ranted about Eva Marie, too, on my rant video, that really people need to just stop hating, because I feel like she's this far away from being better than Cameron right now, and that's pretty sad, because she came to the WWE without any training and Cameron had. That's pretty sad, because you know what, Eva Marie is actually trying to learn and get better and learn more moves, and Cameron's just doing the same shit over and over, not wanting to learn anything. And that's pretty much my thing on that. But
it just shows a blatant, like, lack of common sense in the ring. We'll go back to the match I had with Naomi, I believe it was a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and she goes for the cover, but Naomi's on her belly, not on her back. Like, how? This is a 5-year-old would know to friggin' shoot the half and cover someone with their shoulders on the mat. Like, this is basic shit. This isn't like knowing how to do a 450 or knowing how to counter the counter to the counter's counter. I mean, this is basic shit. And to botch that, and you're the World Wrestling Entertainment, that's bad. And as far as I'm concerned, Cameron, Ariane, she's this close to getting released. She's this close to getting girl buyed. And if it wasn't for Total Diva, she would already be girl buyed.
Definitely. Only thing that's keeping her alive. And that's kind of the same thing with Rosa, too. They said that they were going to release her with Oksana if it wasn't for Total Divas wanting her in Season 3.
See, the thing with Rosa is I think not every girl is meant to be a wrestler. And I think Rosa, she could have been more like a valet. And I guess they tried with the Matadors at one point and other kind of combinations. But I think she could have been better in that role, almost like a Stacy Keibler, or how Maria Kanellis was when she was in the WWE. And her wrestling's actually gotten a lot better if you pay attention to her Ring of Honor stuff. She doesn't wrestle much.
She's crazy. She, like, goes in the ring and beats the crap out of guys. It's hilarious. I love it.
Yeah, I've met her in person. She's like this. So, like, it's funny. But to me, like, Cameron is the lowest on the totem pole. And like I said, overall, this match, it was absolutely terrible. I thought Tyson Kidd on his headphones was a lot more entertaining than the whole match.
Yeah, definitely. Because him and Natty were just fighting, and they kept the camera on that pretty much, and it was just so funny.
That was designed to get heat on Tyson on the Tyson Natty situation, and the match didn't even matter.
Yeah,
it didn't.
Definitely. I can't believe you are right. We had 3 Divas matches last night. That's crazy. This was the good stuff. Dean Ambrose arrives. And he comes out. This was obviously the segment of the night right here. This whole thing, and then especially backstage, what obviously people are waiting for my opinions on. But anyways, Dean Ambrose arrives, and he's selling all these WWE shirts, and he pretty much says, you know, I don't like how they do things up there and everything, and he just starts throwing them for free out in the crowd and everything. And Joey Mercury and Jamie Noble come out. And he says they sent the Cruiserweight division to beat me up.
He was every
He was
grind
on fire last night. He said some great stuff. It was just amazing. And, yeah, like I said, he throws all the shirts out in the crowd. And then Seth comes out in security and everything. And then he goes, "Are you actually real security? Because I thought you were Rosebuds last week."
Another great line. Oh,
oh God, he was just nailing them the whole night. And he goes, "I don't want any problems." And he leaves the ring, and he leaves the briefcase, stood up on the thing. He also actually says a few things. He says that he opened, Seth's briefcase and stuff, and he says that I became close with it, and he's just like, I found a few of Seth's personal belongings. And he pretty much says, and that's all, and I'm just like, oh, what are they going to do? What kind of personal belongings? And I just kind of made a joke because there's memes going around saying that, he keeps My Little Ponies in there. And I was just like, how personal are they actually going to get with this? And he pretty much says, I never knew you were that kind of guy. So I was just like, it's probably something girly or something like that. I'm just like, and so Seth goes in the ring and he opens the briefcase and green slime sprays all over him. And
slime time.
and it doesn't even get any, it just gets on his beard and it gets all over his jacket and clothes, and it doesn't really hit too much of his face. And it was just so funny. And he gets so mad that he tries to rip off his jacket and he can't even get his jacket off. It was just so funny. Seth does that too. When he had that botch, when he tried to get jump the
when he fell a couple months ago.
And he fell and he got real mad and everything like that. It was just so funny how he sells stuff. It's just so funny how mad he gets. It's just so funny. And green slime sprays on him. And I guess we'll talk about the backstage thing too, because this is what people want my opinion on. They want to know about this whole storyline, what he keeps in his briefcase. Okay, so backstage, Seth's just like, this was not funny, I could have been blinded and everything like that. And Randy starts laughing. And I think Kane was laughing too. And Seth's just like, oh, do you think this is funny? And Randy goes, yeah, I do actually think this is funny. And then Triple H tells Seth to calm down and to rinse his eyes out, flush his eyes out, go to the trainer's room, flush his eyes out. And it didn't even come anywhere near his eye. That's what was so funny about it. The closest it came was right here. It was just so funny. And
like Will Ferrell and Anchorman too. I'm
And Triple H asks Kane where Dean is, and he says, the last I saw is he was heading to John Cena's locker room. And he says, okay, good, because, they're going to have a tag team match between you two tonight. And, Kane and Randy get mad, and they go, oh, why are we supposed to be in this match? Why are we fighting his battles for him again and putting the fire out? And they go, and Triple H goes, well, one thing, he's, in the trainer room, he can't compete. You obviously seen he's, got green stuff in his eye. And and he says, so I thought you would want, a little bit of payback from last week. And they said, fine, whatever. And so all of a sudden, you hear this, vibrating noise. And they're like, is that your phone? What's going on? Is that your phone? And then they look at the briefcase, and the vibrating noise is coming from the briefcase. Seth comes back, hurries up and grabs the briefcase and goes, it's an electric razor, and he storms out. Oh, my God. And obviously, people know what this is obviously going to turn into. It shouldn't, though, because it's a PG show. That's another thing, too. If it's actually a vibrator, why are they doing this whole thing when it's a PG show? I just don't get it. You know what? It's probably going to end up being something really stupid. They're probably going to act like it's supposed to be a vibrator, and they're going to open it up. It's probably going to be something really stupid. Like his phone or something, or just something stupid that's vibrating, and it's not even going to be a vibrator, even though they're obviously pulling it off to be like a vibrator because of Dean, him saying that, oh, I never knew you were that kind of person and stuff like that, obviously. But I have a feeling that obviously, I mean, it's a PG show. I mean, how far can they go with this whole storyline with what he carries in his briefcase? You know, what are they actually going to do? Actually show a vibrator, you know? I mean,
Well,
it's just like there's kids watching and everything like that.
back when it was not so PG, I remember when Jericho and Christian were a tag team, and the Dudley stole their clothes and their shit, and Bubba freaking empties out, kind of reminiscent to what Dean did yesterday. Empties out the bag in his butt lube or something. I don't even know what they called it, but it was like some kind of butt lube that he pulled out, like a Christian's bag. You know, like what? So I wouldn't be shocked. You know, out of the mind of Vince McMahon, nothing would shock me. So if it's a vibrator, if it's something else, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, hey, they found a way to make the storyline even more entertaining. So I really got no problem with it. Going back to the original segment, did they ever actually explain how he got all the T-shirts or not?
No, he said that he was in the concession stand, and he said that he was by the merchandise and everything, and he didn't like how they were selling them, and so I guess he just grabbed them. I don't know.
That's funny.
Wow. But yeah, that's pretty much that's all he really.
Yeah. Overall, I thought this segment was very awesome, and I really felt like this reminded me of, like, I don't want to compare it to Steve Austin, but it certainly reminded me of the awesomeness that was Steve Austin during segments like that. Or Brian Pillman, you know, when Brian Pillman was starting to come up, or friggin'... Sorry, people trying to call me. Damn, that's what happens when you do podcasts over your phone. People try to call you when you're a popular guy. But yeah, overall, another person it reminded me of was Eddie Guerrero. When Eddie Guerrero was starting to build up to the top, and they were doing the lie, cheat, and steal gimmick, and he stole Kurt's medals and all this other stuff, and all those guys ended up being champions or main eventers. So, I mean, certainly, I thought this was great for Dean, and I thought not only was it the best segment of the show, but this is something that people are going to remember for a while. And I feel like WWE has been devoid of giving us content that is really worth remembering. Like, you know, I mean, no disrespect to the content they're putting out, but I'm going to remember this one for a while. It was good. Definitely.
Yeah, it was definitely good. Mark Henry versus Bo Dallas. Sorry about that, guys. Okay. So, Mark Henry versus Bo Dallas. This match was just, I don't even know. They're turning Mark Henry heel. Obviously, you can see this happening with the whole thing with Big Show too. Like, I think it was on Main Event last week or something like that. And then obviously, you know, with Bo Dallas winning and then him attacking him backstage after, you can definitely see this heel turn. And I don't mind it. Like I said, I'd rather see Mark Henry be heel than a face. I think Mark Henry's a better heel than a face. And you know, obviously, like I said, they're probably going to have him and Big Show end up feuding. And which I'm fine with, you know. I like Big Show, I really do, and I like Mark Henry too. But I know you're kind of getting sick of both of them, Joe. But it's just like if they feud with each other, you know, they're gonna stay out of the main event and stuff like that. And obviously, they're just gonna do their own thing. So it works out, you know. And they can have a good feud, you know, just depending on what they do with it and everything like that. And I'll save my other comment for later. Joe might get mad at this, but I'll save it for the Big Show and Rusev thing. But
you'd be surprised with my comments this week on some of the stuff. But I mean, it's not surprising they're going this way. My criticisms are they've done this to Mark Henry, Big Show, and Kane, turned them face heel 100 times. So is a heel turn really going to mean something for Mark Henry? I don't know. But I will say Big Show did some good work in his own right, opposite of, you know, that little talk he had with Mark Henry. So maybe, you know, Mark Henry, Rusev next week, something can happen there with that kind of build. And I don't mind them working each other and keeping themselves out of big storylines and working each other. But we've also seen them work quite a few times throughout their historic careers. They're both Hall of Fame type talents. Big Show definitely a Hall of Famer. Mark Henry most likely. But I mean, my criticism was, you know, worthy contenders towards Rusev, and I actually think Big Show is a little bit more of a worthy contender towards Rusev than Mark Henry. So we'll see how it goes. But yeah, well, I guess we'll talk about the Big Show Rusev thing in a little while. But overall, yeah, I mean, like I said, it's kind of been done before, but I'd rather see them do that than get the tag titles or something like that.
Yeah, definitely. Brie Bella versus Cameron and Eva Marie for a handicap match, and Brie wins. Nikki just pretty much comes out. I actually did hear that Brie and Nikki are supposed to be fighting at Hell in a Cell.
I heard that.
So that's what my website said. That's the rumors right now. So they actually are. I thought they were going to wait until like another month or so, but it seems like they are actually going to finally face at Hell in a Cell. It's good because they don't need to drag this out for longer than it needs to be. It's just
absolutely.
Stupid. But I don't know. Nikki,
am I the only one that hates Brie Bella's music?
Yeah, I do not like Brie Bella's music at all.
I'll follow it up. Am I the only one that hates Brie Bella?
I don't know, because I like her.
You share that, my girlfriend.
That her yes lock was atrocious, but I still like her, and I still think she's a better in-ring worker than Nikki. But that's just my opinion.
I'll give you that as far as an in-ring worker, but I just think as a character she's boring, and as a real person she's a condescending. You know what? I'm on that.
Total Divas too is, I mean, obviously staged. We don't know really, because people say the same thing about Natty too. Natty can be completely different from her character on Total Divas too. So people say that Natty comes off as a bitch too. So well, I don't really know. I guess until you meet them and hang out with them, you're not really.
With Natty, you can at least sympathize her being a bitch, because usually she's being put in bad situations where, you know, I would be an asshole too if I was put in those situations. So you know what I mean? And even the whole thing with her and Tyson, we talked about that earlier. Who knows how much of a work that is? That's a little ridiculous. Yeah. But I just feel like Brie Bella, like, she comes off as this like earthy hippie, but she don't even know what she's gonna do with her career after she's done wrestling. When Nikki's already getting into real estate and taking those next steps, and like, you know, like, the girl wants to be in charge of her sister's ovaries or something. I mean, again, like, these Total Diva storylines are a bit ridiculous. But, like, they are not making Brie Bella look good. And this past week, they did the thing where, like, Nikki and Brian both talked to her about, like, hey, like, you're kind of being a bitch lately, Brie. Can you stop? Like, I'm sorry, but I felt that way for a long time. And I think Brie mode is just an excuse to be a, you know what I mean, to be a you-know-what. I mean, hey, maybe if I was comparing myself, maybe I'd have a little bit of John Cena and Daniel Bryan in myself. Who knows? But as far as a girl that I would date, I'd much rather date Nikki than Brie Bella. No doubt about it. I mean, like, come on now. And this isn't even just a physical attraction thing. Even though I do think not only can you tell them apart facially now, but I think Brie Bella kind of looks like a transvestite. Just saying.
Are you serious? Because every single person I've talked to finds Brie way prettier than Nikki.
Oh no, I absolutely not. I think she's got this scowl.
I think she's just being biased here. No, I'm just joking.
Oh yeah, no, my girl feels the same way with this rant, because me and her have had these same conversations.
Oh well, good. I agree with Kayla. Kayla, I agree with you.
But yeah, I want to hashtag Team Nikki on this. Like, I would never date a girl like Brie. And I think my friends who know me personally would be able to know what I'm talking about with that. Yes. Anyways, I don't know how we got off track here.
Slater Gator versus Las Mandadores. Of course, again, and you know what? This time they finally did it right. They finally let Heath Slater win, which was the right thing to do, because no one cares about Las Mandadores. You know, it's just like, this is a win that you can give Heath Slater and Titus, O'Neil. And they actually came out with new music. I was kind of interested in a new, video and everything. That was cool. And then they got Hornswoggle again as an alligator. I thought that was funny. But they won, and they attacked, the bull and everything like that. And then the bunny came in and all that stuff. And Adam Rose. I do want to say something about Adam Rose. Yeah, I know you've seen my stats because you liked it. I used to be a Rosebud. I used to really like him and everything like that. I used to think he was really cool and everything, but lately he is just getting on my last nerves. I don't know if it's just because I'm more obviously towards Heath Slater because I'm a really big fan of Heath Slater, and he's just kind of like getting in Heath Slater's way. I don't know if that's maybe what it is, but I feel like it's just almost like they're just like kind of like shoving him down our throats now. Like they already said they don't have anything for him, but yet they're still obviously doing something. And now with the whole bunny identity, this is how they're gonna bring back Darren Young. I don't really think that's fair because Darren Young deserves better than this. But that's just my opinion, and that's the only reason why he's still on TV, I feel like, too, is because of the whole Darren Young thing is going to help him obviously get his kind of career package more, and maybe they'll form a tag team. I don't know, but I really hope not. I really hope Darren Young doesn't form a tag team with him. He needs to be a singles or something. No.
I think if Darren Young were used properly as a singles, he could be an ambassador for the LGBT community for the WWE, a lot like how Layla is with the breast cancer and some of these other people with certain charitable organizations which they have personal stake in. So I agree. But at the same time, like, I'd much rather the bunny be Justin Gabriel, Zack Ryder, Darren Young, than, say, Sami Zayn, who has been the guy playing.
I definitely agree with that. I don't want it to be Sami Zayn, but I just think this is kind of a cheap way to bring Darren Young back. I just feel like he deserves a little bit better than that.
I'm usually fans of, like, mystery angles, so I don't hate it from that perspective. But mystery angles can be kibosh. I mean, look at Vince McMahon's son and some of the other mystery angles, which were good, but they've had terrible payoffs. The Anonymous General Manager being another one. So, like you said, this storyline's keeping Adam Rose relevant. I feel like Hunter's really going to bat for his NXT boys, Bo Dallas, Adam Rose, and I feel like Vince is kind of hit or miss, and that's where you kind of see the power struggle backstage and how 1 week Bo Dallas is on a winning streak, the next week he's losing to R-Truth, the next week he's beating Mark Henry kind of up and down. Where at least Bo Dallas, I feel like he can make it on his own. Where with Leo Kruger over there, with Adam Rose, I just feel like his character is just, I don't give a shit about it. It doesn't make me laugh. It doesn't entertain me. The Rosebuds are just like the fact that Dean Ambrose actually made the little poke at the Rosebuds proves how much of a joke the Rosebuds have become. And just this whole segment, I feel like they were risking pissing a very good crowd off, and a crowd that hadn't chanted CM Punk too much after that first segment, and a very good Chicago crowd. They were risking pissing him off because this was a little bit too much of the farm coming out with Woggle and the Gator suit, which I guess Slater Gator had a little mini Gator to it, but it just makes Slater Gator too silly. Although I did like their new music and the fact that they got the win, and with the Rosebuds and the bunny and everything else. Had you not watched that Dean Ambrose segment and you maybe flipped from football just for that segment, you would have a very sour taste in your mouth, and you probably wouldn't watch the rest of Raw. So that was clearly the low point. That and probably one of those two Divas matches we mentioned, either probably the first one we mentioned with Natty and all them. So those were kind of the low points, and I feel like they were risking ticking off the Chicago crowd with this one.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, this is what is going to make you mad, I think, right here. My opinions on this. Rusev comes out, and they talk about Big Show, and they talk about how he's being a sore loser and everything like that. And Big Show comes out, and he says that he didn't beat him, like Rusev didn't beat him and everything like that, and they still, are obviously feuding, and then he goes to knock him out, and then Rusev obviously gets out of the ring, and then Big Show tears down the Russian flag. Great ending right there. Finally, someone did something, you know, obviously to get under, and that's why I think this actually might be the best feud. It's with Rusev actually for right now, and now that I look at it, I did want Jack Swagger to beat him, but you know what? If I had to choose, I actually would totally not mind Big Show ending Rusev's undefeated streak. Because, and you know, I know you might not like this idea, but, you know, he's in his end of his career and everything like that. And obviously, we don't know if he's going to ever get a title, obviously, before he retires. And this would just kind of be just like a little bit of a good, obviously, career-ending thing for him. And also, would you rather have Big Show defeated or John Cena? Because I feel like if Big Show doesn't do it, they're going to have John Cena do it. And that's also another one of my things why I think that Big Show actually deserves this. And I think it would be good for him, you know, obviously the crowd likes him and everything, and he's getting obviously the most heat out of him by, you know, tearing down the Russian flag. And this also can help the Mark Henry and Big Show feud if Big Show obviously defeats him, because then Mark Henry's going to get mad and say, oh, Big Show won, and that makes me look weak, that makes him look better than me, and he's obviously going to go crazy, and, you know. So I think that this could be really good if Big Show actually defeats him. But we'll see where it goes with this.
Contrary to popular belief, I do not hate Paul White. I do not hate whatever you want to call
just getting kind of
I have not liked how he's been booked in probably since he lost the IC title to Cody Rhodes. I don't like how he's been booked. I agree with you. He's a legend. I like the fact that Lana acknowledged him as a former heavyweight champion, because that's what he is. He is a legend. He is a Hall of Famer. He beat Hulk Hogan in his first match. And speaking of Hulk Hogan, someone who he's kind of besties with, that would also be a great tie-in in the storyline, because you can get Hogan behind Big Show, which I think could add to it and add to the credibility of Big Show maybe being the guy to break this. I think that maybe they could do a thing where Mark Henry screws Big Show next week when they fight one-on-one, and maybe that'll eliminate Big Show from getting that one-on-one victory and put him in a program with Mark Henry. But I thought this was the best segment Big Show was involved with in a long time. You know, I mean, Big Show, they've just done so much character assassination to him back when the Authority first started, and they were making Big Show cry. Big 7-foot tall, 500-pound cry, baby. That killed it for me. I did not like that. And then they tried to make him look like Stone Cold, and it was just like, first he's crying, now he's supposed to be the top baby face. Like, are you freaking kidding me? And like him and Levesque are obviously buddies, and I'm not even buying the fact that Hunter, even though Hunter likes to bust his chops, I'm not even buying this storyline because I know how they feel about each other. And then it was just kind of like, you know, Big Show was on and off TV. He took that irrelevant ass whooping from Lesnar at the Royal Rumble, which a lot of people probably forget about at this point, which kind of started Brock's ascension to, you know, this kind of larger-than-life monster that he is right now, that whooping he put on Big Show with the chairs at Royal Rumble last year. But, no, I enjoyed this segment. The fact that he ripped down the Russian flag, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I thought Big Show knows how to conduct himself in certain situations. And, you know, he does have a good personality. Unlike Mark Henry, where Mark Henry's about as pouring his paint dry in terms of his personality, and they've tried to make him this fun-loving guy. They've tried to make him a racial stereotype. They've made him a baby father of a hand. They've made him make out with a transvestite. They've made him go out with Mae Young. He's been sexual chocolate. He's been the world's strongest man. So, like I said, it's just over the years of watching this product consistently, you know, not only do I feel that Mark Henry, you know, is taking away spots from the young guys and Big Show as well, but that's where my animosity comes from Mark Henry and Big Show. But overall, Haley, like I said, I really did enjoy this segment. I thought Big Show did an excellent job, and I look forward to the matchup that he and Rusev may have. And I know Rusev got the accolade on Khali, but, you know, is Big Show too big to even slap the accolade on? That is going to be very interesting. We're going to see that live here only on Wrestling Throwdown. You got the Igniter, the Exciter, the YouTube Delata, Joe Passarelli. You got Haley Imes. Haley is frozen right now. Hopefully we can get her back. But we're talking some wrestling and the good points and bad points that were WWE Monday Night Raw. And like we said, really before the main event, some of these segments, they really started to go a little sour. As I think we got Haley back here. Do we got Haley back? Yes, no? We're working on it. But overall, I really felt like, Raw was very improved. All you people out there on the internet who said Raw sucked, Raw sucked. Yeah, that was some crappy segments. But overall, I'd give Raw a B+. And like I said, the Big Show segment with Rusev, I thought it was very enjoyable as well. I believe after that you had Hulk Hogan come out. Hulk Hogan, done in the pink and black, brother. And Hulk Hogan came out and started putting over the Susan G. Komen campaign, essentially kicking off the 2014 campaign, which of course is the third year that the WWE will be involved with Susan G. Komen with the Breast Cancer Association. And I think the WWE does a fantastic job with this, and I love the fact that Hogan was the spokesperson. It did seem like Hogan was tripping over his words a little bit. And, it's a shame. I would have loved Hogan being involved in that Big Show Rusev segment because I think, the real Wrestling Throwdown will return shortly.